Have you ever had one of those nights where it feels like your bladder is playing a cruel joke on you? You go to bed thinking, tonight I'll sleep straight through. But nope. You close your eyes, and then you wake up at 1:12 a.m. to use the bathroom. You shuffle back, get under the blanket, try to fall asleep again. Next thing you know, you wake up at 3:40 a.m. The same thing again. Then it's 5:10 a.m. You're tired. You didn't drink anything crazy before bed. So why are you up so often? You stare at the ceiling in the dark, exhausted, wondering if this is just what getting older feels like. This is your new normal. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be. Because what if I told you that something as small, as simple, and as ordinary as the nuts you snack on during the day, yes, nuts, could be quietly making your nighttime urination worse. Or better. I'm not kidding. This is one of those little health habits no one talks about. And yet, for so many older adults, it's hiding in plain sight. Nighttime urination, or what doctors call nocturia, is not just annoying. It's draining. It steals your rest, your peace, your strength. It turns nights into interruptions, and mornings into fog. And even worse, every time you get out of bed in the middle of the night, your risk of falling skyrockets. One wrong step. One little slip. And suddenly it's not just about peeing at night, it's about a broken hip. A hospital stay. A loss of independence. And no one wants that. Not for yourself. Not for your parents. Not for someone you love. But here's the twist. You don't need to rely on another pill. Or change your entire life. You just need to know which nuts to eat, and which to avoid. Because believe it or not, certain nuts actually support better bladder control. They help regulate your hormones, reduce inflammation, calm the nervous system, and stabilize blood sugar. All of which help your body hold urine better through the night. And then there are the others, the ones that look healthy on the outside but inside your body? They irritate the bladder, spike your insulin, pull more water into your system, and yes, wake you up again and again. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 6 nuts that can help reduce nighttime bathroom trips, and the 5 common ones you really should avoid. I promise, some of these will surprise you. Especially number 3 on the avoid list. That one trips up a lot of people. But don't just listen, take notes. Because the right nighttime snack could mean the difference between tossing and turning, and waking up refreshed. Before we dive in, I want to hear from you. If you or someone you care about is tired of getting up at night just to pee, comment, and no more nights below. And let's take back our sleep, one small change at a time. And while you're here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell for more simple, powerful health tips just like this. Right here on Age Well Tips for Seniors, because growing older doesn't mean giving up your comfort. It means getting smarter about how you live. Alright, let's get started. Let's talk nuts. And let's talk about sleep. Let's start with pistachios. You know, it's funny how sometimes the smallest changes can bring the biggest results. Take Mr. Raymond, for example. Mr. Raymond is a 76-year-old man who lives alone, and still drives himself to church on Sundays. For years, he had a habit of reaching for cookies before bed. Oatmeal, raisins, shortbread, whatever he had in the pantry. But sleep? That was a different story. 2 hours in, he was up. 3 more hours later, he was up again. He chalked it up to aging, and he figured it was normal. Until someone at his community center mentioned switching to pistachios at night. Now, he didn't think much of it, but he figured, why not? So he started replacing those cookies with a small handful of unsalted pistachios before bed. Nothing fancy. Just a clean, simple swap. Within 2 weeks, he wasn't up 5 times to pee at night. He wasn't even up 3 times. Most nights it was just once or none at all. Now here's why that matters. Pistachios aren't just tasty. They're rich in potassium and magnesium, 2 minerals that play a quiet but powerful role in how your kidneys manage water. When your kidneys are supported, your body holds on to the right amount of fluid and releases it at the right time, not while you're trying to sleep. But pistachios do more than that. They also contain melatonin, the natural hormone your body uses to fall asleep and stay asleep. So not only do pistachios help your bladder, they actually help your brain fall into deeper, more restful sleep. Now here's where most folks go wrong. Some seniors think, nuts? Aren't those fattening? And sure, they do contain fat, but it's the good kind. And here's the truth. Avoiding all nuts because of calories is like avoiding medicine because it tastes bitter. It's not about cutting nuts out, it's about choosing the right ones. And pistachios? They're the right ones. As long as they're unsalted and you don't eat the whole bag in one sitting. The sweet spot is about 1 ounce, that's roughly 45 pistachios shelled. Eat them about an hour before bed. Not right before, not after brushing your teeth. Just enough time for your body to absorb the nutrients and get into that relaxed state. Give it a week. Just 1 week. And see what happens. But pistachios aren't the only bladder-friendly snack out there. In fact, one of the most underrated nuts, one that many seniors overlook, might just be the most powerful of them all. Let's talk about walnuts. Now, if you've ever sat across the table from someone who swears by a food, really swears by it, then you'll understand Doris. Doris is an 81-year-old grandmother. She is as sharp as a tack, her glasses are always perched at the tip of her nose, and she never misses her crossword puzzles. When someone once asked her the secret to her good memory, she smiled and said, "Walnuts, they're my brain food." And she wasn't wrong, but what she didn't expect was how much those walnuts helped something else. Her bladder. See, Doris used to get up 2 or 3 times a night to use the bathroom. It wasn't painful. It wasn't even urgent. But it was constant. And it left her tired in the mornings, dragging through her chores and nodding off mid-sentence during bridge club. Then she started eating walnuts. And after a few weeks she realized something strange. She was sleeping longer. And more importantly, she wasn't waking up to pee as much. So what is it about walnuts? Well, they're loaded with omega-3 fatty acids. Those are the healthy fats that support brain function, yes, but also reduce inflammation in the body. And when it comes to nighttime urination, inflammation plays a sneaky role. A slightly irritated bladder doesn't scream during the day, but at night? It whispers just loud enough to wake you up. By calming that inflammation, walnuts help your bladder stay relaxed. And that means fewer signals to your brain that say, "Time to get up." But there's more. Walnuts also support hormonal balance, especially in older adults. And when your hormones are more stable, your body regulates urine production more effectively throughout the night. Now here's a little warning I give folks. Some people avoid walnuts because they say, they're bitter. But more often than not, that bitterness comes from stale walnuts. They've been sitting in a warm pantry too long, the oils have gone rancid, and yes, they taste off. But fresh walnuts? They're slightly sweet. So here's the trick. Store them in the fridge. Better yet, keep them in an airtight container in the coldest part. Eat them raw, unsalted, and unroasted. 1 small handful a day, that's it. And look, no one's saying this is a magic pill. But over time your body notices. Now, what about a nut that not only helps your bladder, but might also help balance your blood sugar, which, believe it or not, plays a huge role in how often you wake up at night? Let's talk about almonds. Now, I want to tell you about George. George is 70 years old and a retired electrician. He has big hands, a big heart, and is always the first one to crack a joke at the diner. But behind that easy smile, George had a problem that he kept mostly to himself. He was waking up 4 times a night. Every night. He tried everything, cutting water after dinner, avoiding tea, even rearranging his sleep schedule. Nothing worked. Until one day his daughter, a nutritionist, suggested something simple. "Dad," she said, "try a handful of almonds in the evening. Trust me." Now, George wasn't the type to take advice lightly, but he figured why not? So he gave it a shot. Every evening after dinner, he'd eat a small handful of almonds. Nothing else. No sugary snacks, no chips. And within a couple of weeks, he was down to waking up just once a night. Sometimes, not even that. So what's the deal with almonds? Almonds are rich in magnesium, which helps relax your muscles, including the bladder. But more importantly, they help regulate blood sugar levels. So by keeping your blood sugar stable, almonds help keep your urine volume down, and your sleep cycle undisturbed. Almonds also contain tryptophan, the same compound found in turkey that people always talk about around Thanksgiving. Tryptophan helps your brain produce serotonin and melatonin, which are essential for falling asleep and staying asleep. So while your body's resting, your bladder gets a chance to rest too. Now let me give you a warning. Not all almonds are created equal. Those flavored almonds? You know the ones, honey roasted, barbecue, wasabi, even chocolate dipped? They might taste good, but they're often loaded with sodium, sugar, and artificial flavors, all of which can irritate the bladder and throw your system off balance. So if you're reaching for almonds, make sure they're either raw or lightly roasted, with no added salt or sugar. If you want to make them even more effective, try pairing them with half a banana. That combo gives you a gentle dose of natural carbs, potassium, magnesium, and tryptophan, everything your body needs to ease into restful, uninterrupted sleep. And again, this isn't a miracle. But over time, that small change in your evening routine might mean fewer nighttime wake-ups, a stronger bladder, and a more refreshed you in the morning. Now, what if I told you there's another nut that gets a bad reputation for being too fatty? But when used the right way, it can actually help calm your bladder and improve your hormonal balance. Let's talk about a nut that's rich, creamy, and often misunderstood. Let's talk about cashews. Now I want to introduce you to Mary. She's 75. A retired music teacher with a soft spot for cardigans and crossword puzzles. For years, Mary avoided cashews like the plague. Too fatty, she used to say. They taste too creamy, that can't be good for me. But every night, Mary found herself up and down, in and out of bed, walking the same dark hallway to the bathroom. Some nights it was 2 trips, other nights 4. She stopped drinking tea in the evenings, cut her water intake after 5. Even tried one of those over-the-counter sleep aids. Nothing made a difference. Then her niece, who's studying nutrition, came over for dinner and saw her skipping the cashews in a snack bowl. She said, "Aunt Mary, you might want to reconsider those. Just a few could help you sleep better." She started eating 8 to 10 raw cashews with a small glass of water about an hour before dinner. But within a week, she was waking up once at most, and feeling more rested than she had in months. So what's happening here? Cashews are rich in magnesium, one of the most important minerals in your body, and one that many older adults are low on without even knowing it. Magnesium helps your muscles relax, not just the ones in your arms and legs but also the muscles in your bladder walls. When those muscles are tense, your bladder sends false signals, making you feel like you need to go even when there's hardly any urine. But when they're relaxed, your bladder can hold more comfortably, and you can sleep longer without that nagging urge. Here's the part people often misunderstand. Because cashews are creamy doesn't mean they're bad for you. Yes, they have fat, but it's unsaturated fat, the kind that supports heart health and doesn't clog your system. And when eaten in moderation, it actually helps your hormones stay balanced, which in turn supports better sleep and bladder regulation. The mistake people make is either avoiding them completely or eating too many at once. Because like anything, too much of a good thing is still too much. So here's the sweet spot: 8 to 10 raw, unsalted cashews enjoyed before dinner. Why before dinner? Because your body needs time to digest and absorb the magnesium. If you eat them right before bed, you might not see the full benefit, or worse, you might feel a bit too full. And remember, stick with the raw, unsalted kind. Now, let's move on to something a little different. A snack that isn't technically a nut, but it's small, it's crunchy, and it's been used in traditional medicine for generations to help with bladder control. Let's talk about pumpkin seeds, or as some folks call them, pepitas. Let me tell you about Tina. Tina's in her late 60s. She is a former school librarian. Always wore colorful scarves and could name every author in the mystery section from memory. But for years, Tina struggled with what she called a jumpy bladder. She couldn't sit through church service without feeling the urge. She stopped going to the movies because she didn't want to get up during the best parts. And at night, she was up 3, sometimes 4 times just to try to pee. Then, during a routine checkup, her doctor, a soft-spoken man with gray temples and kind eyes, said, "Tina, I want you to try something simple. Pumpkin seeds." And to her credit, Tina did it. Every afternoon, about an hour before dinner, she took a small ramekin, measured out a tablespoon, and crunched on them like clockwork. A few weeks went by, and something changed. She noticed she could hold it longer. She didn't need to plan every outing around the nearest bathroom. And at night, she was only waking up once and sometimes not at all. Why do pumpkin seeds work so well? Because they're more than just salad toppers. They're packed with phytosterols, plant-based compounds that help reduce inflammation and support urinary tract health. They also contain zinc, which is essential for pelvic floor strength, especially important for both men and women as we age. And guess what else? They help tone and support the bladder muscles directly. That's right, studies have actually looked into pumpkin seed extract for overactive bladder symptoms, and the results were impressive. It's gentle but powerful. And here's the thing, a lot of people ignore pumpkin seeds because they think they're just decorative. But they are bladder warriors in disguise. So here's what you do. Take 1 tablespoon of roasted, unsalted pepitas. You can eat them straight, or sprinkle them on a little yogurt or oatmeal, as long as they're not drowned in sugar or salt. Do it daily and be patient. You may not notice a change overnight, but give it a few weeks. Like Tina, your bladder might just stop sounding the alarm every couple of hours. It's a small habit, but it's one that gives your body strength where it often weakens with age. Your control, your confidence, and your peace of mind. Now, this next one? It's not for everyone. It's a little bold, a little bitter. But it's also one of the most powerful nuts on this list, especially for men's bladder and prostate health. Let's talk about Brazil nuts. Now, I'll be honest with you, this one's a bit of a wild card. Not everyone likes them. But for the folks who swear by them like John, they're worth every bite. John's a 74-year-old veteran. Tough as nails but kind in the eyes. Retired from the Navy, and now spends his mornings walking laps at the park and his afternoons reading up on nutrition like it's a second job. He doesn't take many supplements. Doesn't believe in magic pills. But you know what he does take? 1 Brazil nut a day. Every day. Without fail. When asked why, he'll tell you straight, it helps my prostate. And it helps me sleep without getting up 5 times a night. That's enough proof for me. Now, John might not have a PhD, but he's not wrong. Brazil nuts are one of the richest sources of selenium, a trace mineral that plays a huge role in prostate health, hormonal regulation, and bladder control. For older men in particular, the prostate can swell with age, something called benign prostatic hyperplasia or BPH. It's common. It's frustrating. And it's a big reason many men have frequent nighttime urination. Selenium has been shown to support healthy prostate tissue and help reduce some of that swelling. It also assists in balancing thyroid hormones, which indirectly affect how your kidneys process fluid. When your hormone levels are more balanced, your bladder doesn't overact, and your body manages urine production better, especially at night. But here's where it gets tricky. Brazil nuts are powerful, almost too powerful. Because while selenium is essential, too much selenium can be toxic. We're talking nausea, brittle nails, fatigue, and in extreme cases, nerve issues. Now don't let that scare you. It's not about avoiding Brazil nuts, it's about respecting the dosage. And here's the sweet spot. 1 to 2 Brazil nuts a day. That's it. Some people grind them into smoothies. Others just pop one whole after lunch. You do what works for you, just keep it consistent. Think of it like a daily ritual. Not a treat. Not a snack. Just a quiet little gift to your prostate, your bladder, and your peace of mind. And now that we've covered the 6 nuts that may actually help reduce nighttime urination, let's flip the script. Because for every nut that helps, there are a few that hurt. And chances are you've got 1 or 2 of them sitting in your pantry right now. They look healthy. They're sold in bulk. They're labeled natural or heart healthy. But for your bladder, they might be working against you. Let's talk about the surprising nuts you may need to avoid, especially if your nights are full of interruptions. These aren't bad nuts necessarily. They have their benefits in other contexts. But when it comes to sleep, bladder health, and fluid control at night, these 5 are the sneaky culprits that may be disrupting your rest more than you realize. Let's start with the most common one, salted peanuts. Now listen, I get it. Salted peanuts are a classic. They're in snack bowls at parties, at baseball games, in your kitchen pantry. They're easy, cheap, and familiar. But they come with a hidden cost, and it shows up around 2 a.m. when you find yourself stumbling toward the bathroom again. Here's the deal. Salted peanuts, and even the so-called lightly salted ones, are loaded with sodium. And sodium, especially in large amounts, irritates the bladder lining. That irritation sends false signals to your brain that you need to urinate, even when your bladder isn't actually full. Worse yet, sodium leads to water retention during the day. Your body holds on to excess fluid, and then tries to flush it out at night when you're lying down. And that, my friend, is a recipe for midnight bathroom runs. Now here's the trap. Even packages labeled lightly salted can still contain 200 to 300 milligrams of sodium per serving. Sometimes more. Multiply that by the few extra handfuls you snack on while watching TV, and you've got yourself a salt bomb waiting to trigger your bladder. So if peanuts are your go-to, swap them for raw, unsalted ones, or better yet, pick one of the bladder-friendly nuts we already talked about. Next up, and this one catches a lot of people off guard, flavored almonds. They sound healthy, right? They're almonds. They're full of fiber and good fat. But here's where it all goes wrong. The flavor coatings, barbecue, honey roasted, wasabi, even the sweet chili ones, are loaded with artificial additives. And those additives? They're highly inflammatory, especially to sensitive tissues like your bladder lining. That inflammation increases your urge frequency, which means more nighttime interruptions. And because they're often combined with sugars, they can also cause spikes in insulin, leading to increased urine production as your body tries to flush out the excess. So the bottom line here? Almonds are great, as long as they're raw or dry roasted with no added flavors, sweeteners, or colorings. Read the label. If there's a long list of ingredients, put the bag back. Now let's talk about the pretty little tins and party jars filled with cocktail nuts. These mixes usually include cashews, almonds, peanuts, hazelnuts, maybe even macadamias, all tossed in salt, sugar, cheap oils, and sometimes even preservatives to keep them fresh longer. On their own, these nuts might not be so bad. But together? It's a perfect storm for bladder irritation. The salt increases urgency. The sugar spikes insulin and leads to more urine. And the processed oils? They mess with your digestion and cause low-grade inflammation, which your bladder doesn't like one bit. If you've been snacking on mixed nuts in the evening thinking it's a better alternative to chips or cookies, think again. That mix might be what's sending you to the bathroom 3 times a night. Now, I know this one might break some hearts, because macadamia nuts are creamy, rich, and feel like a luxury treat. But the truth is, they're not always the best choice for aging bladders. Macadamias are very high in fat, and while some of that fat is the healthy kind, it can be harder to digest for many older adults, especially when eaten late in the day. And here's what happens. Your digestive system works slower at night. Hard to digest fats linger in the system, cause slight bloating or pressure, and that pressure can stimulate the bladder, even if it's not full. The result? You're waking up with that familiar, urgent need, even if you didn't drink anything after dinner. So if macadamias are part of your routine, especially in trail mixes or dessert toppings, consider cutting back or saving them for earlier in the day. And finally, let's talk about nut butters. And the truth is, nut butters can be great. They're easy to digest, comforting, and can even promote better sleep if they're clean. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Most commercial nut butters are packed with added sugars. That sugar is a silent troublemaker. It causes insulin spikes, which your body tries to regulate by flushing out through your kidneys, usually in the middle of the night. More sugar means more urine, more urgency, and more disrupted sleep. And it doesn't stop there. Some brands also add hydrogenated oils, salt, and preservatives, which only add to the bladder irritation. So what can you do? If you love your peanut butter, switch to one with just 2 ingredients, nuts and maybe a pinch of salt. So now that we've gone through the 6 nuts and seeds that help, and the 5 that hurt, you're armed with knowledge most people don't even realize could make a difference. And up next, I want to talk directly to your heart, because I know, it's not just about nuts. It's about what it feels like to keep getting up. And the longing for a good night's sleep. Let's talk about the emotional side of this struggle, and how understanding your body can help you take your nights back. It's frustrating, isn't it? All you want is one good night's sleep. No shuffling down the hallway at 2 a.m. No fumbling in the dark, hoping not to trip over a rug or a pair of slippers. Just peace. The kind of peace that lets you lay your head down at night, drift off in comfort, and wake up when you're ready, not when your bladder demands it. You start to wonder if this is just how life goes now. You stop planning early morning activities because you feel too groggy. But here's the beautiful thing. It doesn't have to stay this way. Because now you've got tools. Just simple, delicious, everyday changes that work with your body, not against it. It's amazing what your body can do when you give it the right support. When you feed it the right foods. So take a moment now, pause. Think about your pantry. Which of these nuts are already part of your life? And more importantly, which ones might need to go? You don't have to change everything. You just need to change something. And it starts with something as small as a handful of the right nuts. Let's quickly recap so it's fresh in your mind. Eat more of these. Pistachios for deep sleep and fluid balance. Walnuts for reducing inflammation and calming the bladder. Almonds for blood sugar control and melatonin. Cashews for muscle relaxation and hormonal support. Pumpkin seeds for bladder strength and pelvic health. Brazil nuts for prostate and hormone balance, but only 1 or 2 per day. Avoid these, especially at night. Salted peanuts, the hidden sodium disruptor. Flavored almonds, loaded with bladder-irritating additives. Cocktail nut mixes, the unhealthy combo of oils, salt, and sugar. Macadamias, high-fat and harder to digest late in the day. Sugary nut butters, spiking insulin and increasing nighttime urine production. Now let me ask you, which one surprised you the most? Was it one of the good nuts? Or one you've been eating that might be doing more harm than good? Or maybe you've got your own evening snack habit, something that works like a charm to keep your nights restful. Either way, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Let's turn this video into a space where we all learn from each other and support each other. Because this isn't just about information. It's about connection and healing and aging well. And if this video helped you, or if you're thinking of someone in your life who could use this, take a second now and subscribe to Age Well Tips for Seniors. We're not here to sell fear. We're here to share hope and give you real-life strategies you can actually use. So thank you. Thank you for showing up for yourself today, for listening, and for being part of a community that believes aging can still be powerful, beautiful, and full of wisdom. Sleep peacefully, eat wisely, and until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and stay aging well.